Hello friends, welcome back, and if you are new to our channel, thank you for stopping by. Today I have a beautiful knitting pattern to share with you, for which we need stitches in the multiple of 10 plus 2. So I have taken 10 into 3, 30 plus 2, 32 stitches, and I have worked 2 rows of knit. Let's begin with the first row of the pattern. The edge stitch is slipped off. After that, what I am going to do is I am going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now yarn forward. Again 5 number of purl. So 5 knit, 5 purl. That is the sequence for the first row of the pattern. So let's continue making 5 number of purl. 2, 3, 4 and 5. So here I am working my knit. Let's see how many it's done. 5 is done. Now yarn forward. 5 number of purl. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is the first row of the pattern, and it is a 12 row pattern. I think I forgot to tell you that. And the first 2 rows of knit, it is not the part of the pattern. I just did that so that my pattern doesn't curl up. Now yarn forward. 5 number of purl. That's the third, the fourth and the fifth. Now yarn backwards. The edge stitch is going to be a knit. So the first row of the pattern has come to an end. Moving on to the second row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that, yarn backwards. 4 number of knit. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now yarn forward. 6 number of purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Yarn backwards. 4 number of knit. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again yarn forward. 5 number of purl. That's the first, the second, third, fourth and the fifth. Now again yarn backwards. 4 number of knit. Now this is a pattern which will be perfect for cardigans, sweaters, for both men's, women, ladies, children. So it's a very interesting pattern. I have just worked my purl, and the edge stitch is also going to be a purl. So the second row of the pattern has come to an end. Let's move on to the third row of the pattern. The edge stitch is slipped off. After that, I am going to knit 7. That's the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. Okay, 7 stitches are done. Now yarn forward. 3 number of purl. 1, 2 and 3. So this is the sequence for the third row of the pattern. So for the third row of the pattern, we need to work 7 number of knit and 3 number of purl. That is the sequence we must follow. This is a pattern which needs stitches in the multiple of 10 plus 2. 10 into 3, 30 I have taken, plus 2 is the edge stitch. It is a very easy pattern to work. So finally yarn forward and 3 number of purl. Now yarn backwards. The edge stitch is going to be a knit. So the third row of the pattern comes to an end. Now let's move on to the fourth row of the pattern. The edge stitch is slipped off. After that, I am going to work 2 number of knit, yarn backwards, 2 number of knit, 1 and 2. Now yarn forward, I am going to work 8 number of purl. Now when working such patterns, it is better if you count the stitches while working. That way you will have less chances of making mistakes. Other than that, this pattern is a very easy pattern, perfect for the beginners as well, but we must count the stitches while we work. Now I have worked 2 number of knit and 8 number of purl. Now yarn backwards, I'm going to repeat the sequence again, that is 2 number of knit, 1, 2. Now yarn forward, 8 number of purl. So this is the sequence for the fourth row of the pattern. So here I am working my last set of pattern, 2 knit, yarn forward, 8 number of purl. So that's done. The edge stitch is going to be a purl, and this completes the fourth row of the pattern. Let's move on to the fifth row of the pattern. The edge stitch is slipped off. After that, I am going to knit 9 stitches. That's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth and ninth. Now yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, again the repeat starts, 9 number of knit and 1 number of purl. So that is the sequence for the fifth row of the pattern. 9 stitches is going to be a knit. After that, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 9 number of knit, so here I am working my knit, and yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, the edge stitch is going to be a knit. So this completes the fifth row of the pattern. Moving on to the sixth row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that, we work a purl. That starts the repeat pattern. Yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 7 number of purl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, yarn backwards, a knit. So that is the sequence we must follow. So again, let's repeat. If you count the stitches, we have 10 stitches. Yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 7 number of purl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, yarn backwards, a knit. So that is the sequence. Again, I'm going to repeat. Purl 1, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 7 number of purl, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, the edge stitch is going to be a purl. So this completes the sixth row of the pattern. Moving on to the seventh row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that, yarn forward, 2 number of purl, 1 and 2, yarn backwards, 5 number of knit, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 2 number of knit. So that is the sequence for the 7th row of the pattern. So let us start off again. Purl 2, yarn backwards, 5 number of knit, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 2 number of knit. So this is the sequence that has to be followed again. So here working 2 number of purl, yarn backwards, 5 number of knit, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 2 number of knit, 1 and 2, and the edge stitch is going to be a knit. So this completes the 7th row of the pattern. Moving on to the 8th row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that I'm going to work 3 number of purl, 1, 2 and 3, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 3 number of purl, 1, 2 and 3, yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 1, 2 and 3. Now I'm going to repeat the sequence again. 3 number of purl, 1, 2 and 3, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 3 number of purl, 1, 2 and 3, yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 1, 2 and 3. Here I am going to repeat the sequence, that is 3 number of purl, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, 3 number of purl, yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 1, 2 and 3, and the edge stitch is going to be a purl. So this completes the 8th row of the pattern. So here our pattern has started showing. Now let's move on to the 9th row of the pattern. The edge stitch is slipped off. Yarn forward, 4 number of purl, that's done. Yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 4 number of knit. So that is the sequence for the 9th row of the pattern. So I am going to repeat the sequence again. Yarn forward, 4 number of purl, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, a purl, and yarn backwards, 4 number of knit, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now again yarn forward, 4 number of purl, yarn backwards, a knit, yarn forward, a purl, yarn backwards, 4 number of knit. Finally the edge stitch is going to be a knit. So that completes the 9th row of the pattern. Moving on to the 10th row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that 5 number of purl, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, yarn backwards, 5 number of knit, 3, 4 and 5. So this is the sequence for the 10th row of the pattern. Let's repeat again. Yarn forward, 5 number of purl, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yarn backwards, 5 number of knit, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Again yarn forward, 5 number of purl. Three, 4 and 5. Now again yarn backwards, 5 number of knit. So this is the 10th row of the pattern. Now finally the edge stitch is going to be a purl. So this completes the 10th row of the pattern. See, the pattern has started showing. It's a beautiful pattern. Moving on to the 11th row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that yarn forward, 4 number of purl, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yarn backwards, 6 number of knit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Again yarn forward. Now that's the first part. Now this sequence is to be repeated. Yarn forward, 4 number of purl, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yarn backwards, 6 number of knit. So the sequence is to be repeated. This is the sequence. It's quite easy. Again yarn forward, 4 number of purl, yarn backwards, 6 number of knit. The edge stitch is going to be a knit. Moving on to the 12th row of the pattern, the edge stitch is slipped off. After that the edge stitch is slipped off. After that purl 7, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 2 and 3. So this is the sequence that is to be followed for the 12th row of the pattern. Let's work 7 number of purl, that's done. Now yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 1, 2 and 3. Yarn forward, again 7 number of purl, yarn backwards, 3 number of knit, 1, 2 and 3. The edge stitch is going to be a purl. So the 12th row of the pattern has come to an end. So this is how the pattern looks. It is a smart looking pattern, perfect for men's cardigan, women's sweater, pullover. So you should try this pattern. Thank you friends for staying till the end. If you've liked the video, do give a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family members. If you are new to our channel, do consider subscribing and stay tuned for interesting videos. So till we meet again, it is bye-bye from all of us here at Plants, Crochet, Cooking and more. Bye bye.